the keys are to the glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. Welcome to the 49ers vs. Green Bay Packers Divisional Playoff Game Plan video. This is going to be a lot of fun because we're going to get into how the 49ers need to attack the Green Bay Packers and how they need to try to stop Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, in this impressive Green Bay offense.
It's a tall task, Ant. That's a tall order. But you know what? You know what we're not going to have any issues with today? We're not going to have any issues with beautiful cameras and video quality because it's brought to you by the channel. And I'm just joking. There's no sponsor for the video. But look, we do have a wonderful conversation to have about this game plan. And it's going to be a game plan that shouldn't shock 49ers fans. Shouldn't shock the Green Bay Packers on Saturday. Because the Niners aren't going to do a whole lot of things differently on the offensive side of the ball in terms of what we've seen them do in terms of running the football the last 8 weeks. They're going to go at this team in a big way, trying to run the ball. I think the only difference you may see is who offensively, in terms of in the receiving game, has themselves opportunities to get schemed open a lot and where they choose to attack the field, and how often they may throw. I think they're going to throw a lot more than people anticipate and realize. I just don't think it's going to come at the behest or at the expense of the run game. The run game is going to set up a lot of things this Saturday against Green Bay.
Yeah, there's going to be lanes to be able to attack this Green Bay defense. I think everyone knows what Green Bay is going to try to do. They're going to try to run their five-man front. Of course, they refer to it as the bear, but I mean, it's a five-man front. It's three defensive linemen, and they bring up two guys on the edge, linebacker or edge rushers. But they want to stay wide, and they want to be able to, make sure everything goes back in. So that's good. That can help stop the 49ers, edge running game. However, when you get out on an edge like that, you create a bubble in the defensive line. And as an offensive coordinator and one that loved to run the football, anytime I found a bubble, it meant that was a place I wanted to attack. I found a little crease where I could kick someone out, kick somebody down, and run there. And I think that's what the 49ers can do against this sort of defensive front, is go ahead and kick them out if they're playing too far out wide, and then get up off tackle and go ahead and take advantage of them that way. The linebackers are good. They're not great. So you can get your offensive linemen on them and make plays. And then if they start to squeeze in, then you go and you hook them and you go outside. Part of the problem with it, too, is you're going to have to be so aggressive as Green Bay's defense. You're going to have to be aggressive to cut off these lanes, try to stop this 49ers run game. When you do, you're going to leave yourself chances where you're going to overcorrect, and you're going to go too far. The Niners are going to be able to go back against the grain and make a big play. Whether that is with the cutback runs that they've been running with Deebo Samuel or Elijah Mitchell, or even the reverse, like they ran to Deebo Samuel late in the game against Dallas. All those things are going to be on the table. The 49ers are going to be able to get after this Green Bay defense. And I believe the Green Bay defense is going to be shocked at how hard the 49ers offense comes at them, because I think they're going to come at them in a hard way, big way. And I don't expect 2019 styles of numbers because of Raheem Mostert being so explosive. But I think it's gonna start to get up there. I think there's a possibility that the 49ers could actually run for more yards than they ran against Dallas.
Yeah, this is a game where you could see 200 yards out of this 49ers run game. Possible. It just won't come from one guy. It'll come from multiple guys, right? It's going to come from Deebo Samuel and Elijah Mitchell, both of those guys out there in space being able to do things. And who knows? We saw the last time they played Green Bay, they utilized George Kittle in the run game as well. That was my wow that's bold. Not my wow. Yeah, that was my wow that's bold prediction on offense. Was Kittle having 3 touchdowns and 2 of them being receiving and 1 of them being rushing. So do I believe that George Kittle is going to run the football in this game? You betcha. You bet your sweet behind and bottom dollar that I think that's going to be the case, because this is what the Niners do. It's all about coming out and being physical. And yeah, the bear front causes some problems. But I think you and I both know that that's not a bear. That's not a bear that they're running. They are sometimes running 6 down linemen with 1 linebacker back there in space, and then 2 safeties sitting at 10 yards within the line of scrimmage. They're trying to make sure that nothing gets outside. They want things to funnel back to the middle. And early in the season, the 49ers didn't necessarily account for all of these guys, or if they did try to account for them, they did things early in the season that actually played into Green Bay's hands. You're going to see a little bit later on the Know Your Opponent on a sweep that they run with Trey Sermon. They bring Deebo Samuel across the formation to play side to try and block, and it actually pulls a linebacker into the play, having him come full speed and be able to come downhill in an open gap.
Yeah.
Kyle Shanahan has changed the scheme, how they attack. He's adjusted, he's adapted things. They run with Kyle Juszczyk. They run opposite of Kyle Juszczyk. They send Kyle Juszczyk to the right, counter back to the left. Kyle has shown that he has his finger on the pulse of what the defense is doing and how they're adjusting. And when teams start overplaying and over pursuing, and not just one time, but multiple times, he makes a team prove that this is what they want to do. And once they show that, hey, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to stop your run, then he starts taking advantage of opponents. And listen, Green Bay came out last game, and this is the difference between that game and pretty much any other game the Niners have played against Green Bay in the last 3 years. Green Bay came out early and felt like just had a grasp of what the Niners wanted to do, shut them down early, got things going, got out to a big lead. I don't anticipate that happening this time around. Kyle Shanahan is going to be more prepared than ever for this Green Bay defense. The 49ers players are going to be more motivated than ever against this Green Bay team, because it's not just win or go home from this team. It's about rewriting the narrative of what this team is and who you've been all season long. A lot of people have counted you out. Jimmy Garoppolo can't get it done. You just don't have the horses. You don't have the pieces. It's time to blow it up. Fire Kyle Shanahan. Jimmy Garoppolo's got to go. These players have been hearing it all season long. Deebo Samuel has continued to be slighted all season long by everyone. Yes, he's starting to get some talk and some run. Starting to? How is it starting to? This was a guy who had 1,000 yards receiving, 10 weeks into the season? He was on pace for a monster year in the receiving category, and then guess what? The Niners shifted his role. It wasn't just about being a receiver. It was about doing everything we needed you to do on the football field. And yet people weren't talking about the dynamic, player that is Deebo Samuel, one of the greatest football players in the game right now, Deebo Samuel. There are some people who are giving him love, but not enough. The Niners want to establish something. They want to establish a narrative. You can say whatever you want about us. At the end of the day, we know what we have in this building, and we're basically going to show up, do exactly what you think we're going to do, and make you eat it for 4 quarters.
What they want to do is win. And one of the ways that you win a football game is by imposing your will. And that is what this run game has been doing. Whether that was Los Angeles or that was Dallas, the 49ers imposed their will, especially late in the game, and were able to get the big plays that they needed to get. The explosive plays are there. You got Elijah Mitchell with explosive runs all year long. You got Deebo Samuel with explosive plays all year long. He scores a touchdown every 7.5 touches from the running back position. These guys are dynamic. Neither one of them were playing running back against the Green Bay Packers before. It was Trey Sermon. Yes, Green Bay came out with a great game plan. Of course, you knew you were preparing for Trey Sermon. You weren't preparing for a variety of guys. You weren't preparing for JaMychal Hasty. You weren't preparing, for Jeff Wilson Jr. even, or Elijah Mitchell, or Raheem Mostert. No, you were preparing for one guy in Trey Sermon, and you knew what his limitations were. So they took some chances, and they succeeded with it. But this is a different animal that they're going against now. That game plan, that rushing attack that you were able to, somewhat slow down. Trey Sermon still rushed for over 4 yards a carry in that game, but it was a different type of game. It's going to be a different animal for them. This is not the same thing. That was a poodle. This is the pit bull. And it's coming at you in a big way. And it's
those aren't the same kind of dog?
No. And this is coming at you with some aggression. The other one was Fifi, the Jerry Rice nickname. This one is not. This one's coming at you, and it's going right at you in a big way. And I think Green Bay is going to have to figure out how to stop it. And they have some horses. They have some talent on the front. The front seven is good. But it's not run-stopping good. So they're going to have to prove they can do it. Last week, Dallas committed 8-9 guys into the box. Still couldn't stop them at times. I think that's the same thing Green Bay has to do. And when they do that, it's going to open up other areas of the field. You're going to get one-on-one matchups where Brandon Ayuk absolutely cooked Trayvon Diggs. He has cooked Jair Alexander before. He'll cook him again. You're going to get some roasted Alexander in this game. Jimmy Garoppolo's just got to make sure that he can get the ball where it needs to be. Jimmy's going to go out there and play with, a little bit of freedom. He's going to have to execute and hit the guys where he needs to hit them, take advantage of the matchups he has. But the key matchup for me, as far as in the passing game, is still going to be George Kittle on whoever they decide to guard him. There is no one on that team that can shut down George Kittle. He is a matchup problem. No linebacker, no safety, not even a corner. You want to put him out wide and go against Jair Alexander? I'm counting on George Kittle to win that matchup. So I think it's going to be an interesting way of Green Bay trying to figure out how to disguise what they are doing to confuse Jimmy Garoppolo, because early on in the season, running the bear, and then also running a little bit of a robber look out of that, cover 2 look, and then switching to that cover 1 robber was what was confusing Jimmy Garoppolo. That's not confusing Jimmy Garoppolo anymore. It's not confusing him in the run game. The 49ers are able to execute that. It's not confusing him in the pass game. They found ways to get around that. So those other things that you used before, they don't work no more. You're going to have to come up with something new, something fresh. And is there something new? Is there something now that Mike McDaniel and Kyle Shanahan haven't prepared for, that Lafluer has figured out? Something that he's going to be able to stop this offense. Newsflash, no.
No.
Just no.
Just no. No other words.
No.
Just no.
You know why? Because right now, the 49ers have one of the greatest football players in the league in Deebo Samuel. So even your best laid plans go awry.
He's a monkey wrench.
He's a huge monkey wrench.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things too where Dallas, the touchdown run, Dallas does a really good job of being out there in space, making it very difficult for him to just get to a spot, put his foot in the ground, and go. Deebo sees. I mean, there was a carry in the Week 3 game that we both watched and was like, that's not the same Deebo.
No, it's not.
And he's not running the same. It ain't even close to the same. There is a vast difference between what the Niners have worked on, what they've been scheming for, what they've been preparing for, the situations they put their guys in early in the season to now. There's a stark difference. It all comes down now to just execution and limiting mistakes. We've seen the 49ers on certain downs and distances and situations make plays, go to plays where guys don't necessarily execute the best, and you have a big loss. After you've chunked out and chunked out a huge play, a huge gain, put yourself in scoring range, and then you set yourself back on first down, and then it makes teams, honestly, it makes it so much easier for teams when the Niners are sitting in 2nd and 14, 2nd and 12, 2nd and 15, 1st and 20. Because, yeah, the Niners can run the football, but hey, 1st and 20, even if he chunks out 5 yards here, 6 yards, it's still 2nd and long.
Yeah.
And even if they run again, it puts them in that 3rd and long situation where it's one of those things where it's like, they're going to pass. It means you can play to a little bit more strengths. You can take away the middle of the field and muck it up a little bit easier. You don't have to necessarily respect the run in the same way, in the same fashion. And Kyle knows that, and Jimmy knows that. Everyone knows that. So if you're the Niners, it's all about early down execution. First down, if you're able to take care of business, you're able to make it, 2nd and 7, 2nd and 6, 2nd and 5. Those types of downs and distances, you don't have to come out and pass on 2nd down. You can run the ball just the same. Pick up your 4 yards, put yourself in 3rd and manageable, knowing that, hey, if we really want to here, we can run the ball again on 3rd down, get it to 4th and 1, and then go to Jimmy G on the sneak, which he has not ever not executed one, barring last week's Dallas fiasco where you motion Trent Williams across.
Really count.
It doesn't count. It's a false start, so it's a dead play. He's still 25 for 25 on quarterback sneaks. So it's just like, you know what you have there in your back pocket, and teams know the Niners are going to quarterback sneak, and it doesn't matter. Just the way they know Tom Brady was going to quarterback sneak, and it doesn't matter. Jimmy Garoppolo picked up that skill set from Tom. He's executed at a very high level, and that makes the Niners dangerous. Because if you get them to 4th and inches, 4th and 1, it's a very short 1 yard, even if it's just 1 yard to get, 1 yard to go. Not a lot of teams, as of this point, no teams have figured out really how to stop that from not being something to do, which means on 3rd and short, you have to respect the run. Or 3rd and medium, you have 3rd and, maybe not medium, but 3rd and a little bit less than medium, you have to respect the run game. And that makes it so that Kyle Shanahan has essentially his whole playbook at his disposal. That makes him and the Niners offense dangerous.
It is, and the only way you can prove that you're dangerous is take advantage of the situations that are given to you.
Correct.
The Green Bay Packers are going to give the Niners opportunities to take chances down the field.
Correct.
They're going to have to commit extra guys to the box, extra guys to stop this run game, extra guys to stop Deebo Samuel, and the 49ers have to capitalize. We saw in 2019 in the regular season game, they capitalized in a big way, hit George Kittle for a huge touchdown. Those types of plays need to be able to be executed in this game. Jimmy Garoppolo can't miss a wide open Brandon Ayuk like he did before. He's got to make sure he hits those throws. Those are backbreaker type throws when you have a run game like this. When you have a run game that can limit the amount of possessions you have and you're able to capitalize with a big play, those emotion swinging, momentum swinging plays can sometimes end a team because Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel are absolutely dangerous in the open field, not to mention George Kittle. So you have to take advantage. So when these guys creep up in the box, Jimmy's got to win. I mean, that's just as easy as it is. If you're going to be running against 9-man boxes consistently, and if you're not ripping off 4 and 5 yards in those situations, Jimmy needs to be throwing the football. You need to come up, see those situations, be like, nope, we've got Brandon, we've got Deebo, we've got George. We need to win. And if they don't start winning those situations, it doesn't matter what happens in this game. They won't win the Super Bowl. So Jimmy has to do those things. He has to execute those plays. Those are what it takes to win the Super Bowl in the long run. The running game is great, and it can definitely win you a game. But to win consistently, you have to make sure that you make them pay when they come up and overcommit to stop that run.
It's a marriage, right? It's all about being complementary with your offense and how you attack.
I think people would disagree about marriage.
Fine, Ant. Fine. It's not a marriage.
It's a partnership.
It's a partnership.
There you go.
Whatever connected. If you're able to run the ball effectively and teams have to commit as much as teams have shown they have had to commit, Ant, then at the end of the day, you have to be able to bounce off that, play off of that, make teams suffer when they commit too many or over pursue. And the Niners have done that in a variety of ways this season continuously. Now it's about being consistent about it. When you need those plays and those opportunities present themselves, taking advantage of it. Because Green Bay doesn't make a lot of mistakes on the offensive side of the ball on the other end. So even if the Niners play a stout game where the front slows down the run game, is able to get after Aaron Rodgers, put some pressure on him, hit him and make some sacks, he just doesn't turn the ball over. He had 4 picks on the year. They've turned over the ball the least amount of times of any team in the NFL this season. So they don't really present themselves a lot of turnovers. However, Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs against the 49ers that's a different story than the regular season. And we are right now, Ant, talking about playoff football and not regular season football. And this is a very different team defensively than we saw in week 3.
Just because you don't turn over the ball with a fumble or an interception doesn't mean you don't turn over the ball.
Also
3 and out, where you lose yardage, is just as pivotal. Because if you're coming off a scoring drive and then the defense goes out there and shuts down Aaron Rodgers and this Packers offense, you might as well call that a turnover. Those sudden change plays are awesome. The interception, the fumble recovery, those are great. But 3 and outs are also detrimental to an offense. And obviously the Green Bay Packers have failed in those situations. They have a conversion rate on third down of just over 40%, which is great. But the 49ers have a conversion rate just over 40%. It's not like Green Bay's going out there and blowing everyone out of the water and consistently moving the ball all the time. Aaron Rodgers is one of the great quarterbacks. He makes great plays. And so he always keeps them in the football game. But if you neutralize him, if you're able to contain him, you can win the game. And it's not as much about stopping him as it is about slowing him down. It's about slowing down Devontae Adams, limiting the run game. If you do those things, you're going to put yourself in a position to win. And you're right. If he goes ahead and does what he's been doing against the 49ers in the playoffs and turns over the ball, and there's a sudden change, then the 49ers are going to have opportunities to stretch the lead. I think this is one of those things where Green Bay, as much as I respect them and what they do, I think the ability that they have is being somewhat blown out of proportion. We're acting like they're an undisputed, one of the best offenses there is. And I'm saying I see holes. I don't think they're one of the most, they're not the greatest show on turf. They're not one of these explosive offenses. They're a very good offense.
They're efficient.
But they have holes and they can get taken advantage of. And I think they will get taken advantage of. And one of the ways you do that is with an elite pass rush, which the 49ers have.
And the run stopping ability of not only your front 4, but your front 7. Being able to do that makes it so that, you can take away some of these deep shot opportunities for Aaron Rodgers. You can disguise and make Aaron Rodgers think he's got one-on-one on the outside. They take their fade shot, and you got a safety rolling coverage over the top who's sitting there waiting for it. If there's one thing I know about Green Bay, it is that it's not that they're predictable, it's that they do certain things very well. First is they've run the ball very efficiently pretty much all season. And very efficient. It's not necessarily back-breaking the way they run the football, but it's efficient. When they need big runs and opportunities to eat clock, get first downs, pick up the yards, they do it. When they need to be able to take shots downfield a one-on-one, they do it. And Aaron doesn't need a lot of time to take those fade shots downfield. And even if you play them correctly and you're over the top, he's just going to throw back shoulder anyway and makes it look effortless. So for the 49ers, it's all about giving the perception of something, making Aaron do the thing you want him to do, and then being able to take advantage. Sitting over the top and then coming back downhill knowing that he's most likely going to play the back shoulder fade. Sitting over the top on those fade opportunities, but doing so trying to bait him to throw it, knowing that you have safety help over the top, so that way when the time comes, you can be aggressive coming back downhill, playing that outside back shoulder of the fade. Mixing those things up, not giving the same look, not making yourself predictable with your scheme. Demeco Ryans has shown better than a lot of defensive coordinators in the league. He is phenomenal at disguising coverage. And last week against Dallas, we kept hearing, you're going to have to run man. You're going to have to run man. You're going to have to run man. Dak carves up zone. Well, the Niners ran zone, 80% of the time? I think is what the stat was.
Yeah.
So over 80% of the time, and I hate to break it to Cowboys fans, Dak wasn't that impressive. In fact, he seemed lost at times. He was holding on the football for a long time.
Yeah, it was. And I think that you're right. I think the fade pattern is something that's dangerous. But all you have to do is confuse him once, and you get a sudden play, sudden impact play. One of the ways you do that is you show a 2 deep safety look, and then you run a cover 3. You invert your coverage. You have the safety come underneath and help take away. You run somebody else over the top. It's one of those things where you get a trail technique or a bell technique. He's going to play over the top, and he's going to be waiting on that deep fade route. And sometimes Aaron, he does a good job of reading and makes a good throw. But when you stop it, his drives don't go anywhere.
Right.
So he's got one big play in him. You stop the play and you stop him. Can he get it done? Sure he can. But he's also betting a lot, right? Because if you go in there and you take away Devontae Adams, are you consistently going to throw the fade pattern to Allen Lazard? Is he going to consistently be able to win against the 49ers secondary? That's a big if. Randall Cobb is not going to consistently be able to do that. K'Wan Williams could probably take him away. So you're looking at little key matchups that are going to go a long ways. But all the while, you're right. He can get rid of the ball quick and all that. But sometimes it's about disguising coverage and then running what you actually are showing. And I think sometimes he'll think that they're disguised and they won't be. And that's what they're going to take advantage of. But ultimately, I think Demeco Ryans learned a lot from the first game. He had a different set of personnel grouping in there. They were struggling to stop the run. Aaron Jones and these guys were able to rush for 100 yards. That's going to be different in this game. That's going to change the game. And even with all that being said, it was 30-28. The 49ers almost pulled out a victory against the Green Bay Packers. So I don't know. I see the things that Aaron does well, and I think they're great. But I think in matchup wise, the 49ers match up really well with the Green Bay Packers.
I think another thing too that I think Green Bay fans kind of overstate, and that maybe 49ers fans are overthinking here, is that some of these fade routes that he's throwing are just 50-50 balls. It could go either way. And sometimes Aaron's throwing them up because he knows from personal experience with where he's going to place the ball, it's more than 50-50. It's more like 75-25 because he knows he's either getting a catch here or a DPI. And the Niners have shown the second half of the season here, they're not a team that's committing a lot of those DPIs the way they've been playing. They've fixed a lot of technique things and, just comfortability in playing in the system and knowing what you need to do, where your help is, and what you need to take away. I think as long as you're not having those 50-50 fade shots that he's taking are going to essentially be drive killers because you're taking a shot on 2nd down and 10. You're taking a shot on 3rd and long where it's basically, we're scoring or bust. And that can set you back in a big way. You don't necessarily want to on 1st and 10, 2nd and 10 take shots against this Niners defense because if you put yourself in 3rd and long, you're going to get this pass rush group out there, this are what we are calling our NASCAR package, which is, Art and Key. You got Eric Armstead, you got Nick Bosa, and then any combination of guys. Could be Samson Ebicom, could be Charles Omenihu, could be Jordan Willis. I mean, any one of those guys can come in and it causes problems for the pass rush and for your opponents. And if you're in 3rd and 11, 3rd and 12, because on 1st down you tried to run and got stuffed, and 2nd down you tried to take a shot downfield, you might as well. It's a drive killer.
Yeah, it is. I mean, they're going to move the ball. I mean, they're going to have drives where they move the ball. They're going to have drives where they get
Aaron
things.
Freaking Rodgers.
It is. But the thing is you're just trying to limit those amount of times that they get really good points out of it, right?
True.
Limit the amount of times they get touchdowns, make them earn everything they got, try to confuse him, rally and make tackles. Don't let them have, plays where they get a lot of yards after the catch. I mean, similar to what the 49ers do. Those are going to be the things that help limit what Aaron Rodgers is successful with. I think that the Niners can invert coverage and do the things that they want to do because Jimmy Ward and Jaquiski Tartt are so good. Those guys have been playing great all year, and those guys can definitely help these corners. It's a different set of secondary group that Aaron Rodgers went against in the first game. And yeah, he did come out and he just threw it short. That was because the 49ers were playing cover 3. They were playing off, letting the ball get caught underneath, rallying to make tackles. The key is sometimes now they're going to mix it up. Sometimes they're going to run press looks. They're definitely going to put some pressure onto him because they want that pass rush to be able to go home or get home. Also, you got Aaron Jones and them catching the ball in the backfield. But now you got linebackers that can cover him because Dre Greenlaw can definitely cover them out of the backfield. Dre's going to be a big improvement from what we had, Marcel Harris playing out there. And I love Marcel Harris, but he was in week 3 of him in the regular season playing linebacker.
Third professional game.
Yeah, he had never played linebacker. So there's a lot of things that he had to learn, and Dre Greenlaw doesn't have to learn those things. Plus, Dre Greenlaw brings a physicality. So if the Green Bay Packers aren't able to win on 1st and 2nd down, and you're able to play the sticks and tackle underneath, you're going to get off the field a lot of times. And if you can make the Green Bay Packers conversion rate on 3rd down, their efficiency go down under 40%, I think you can win the game.
I agreed with you on that, man. Listen, you've been saying that the last few weeks when you've called for that and the Niners have accomplished it. Oh, look at that. Shocking, Ant. They've won big football games. If the defense can get off the field on third downs, you just put this offense in such a good position. Because of the way that they're executing right now, there's not a lot of drives that end in 3 and outs. You're running the ball effectively on first down. And even if you don't on first down, they usually get some sort of run drawn up on second down that gets you in a better spot. That you have a manageable third down, and the Niners have executed those third downs a bit just like they execute in the red zone. When it becomes crunch time, when it becomes a need to do sort of situations, this team has stepped up. Early in the season it didn't step up. You want to know why? Cutback crew, faithful, because it didn't need to be done yet because it was early. I'm just kidding. Obviously they needed to be doing it all season long, but they figured it out. They didn't have this identity early on. They didn't know how to be this team early on in the football season, and they didn't know how to be it consistently. It was all about consistency early on. We kept saying it. We've been saying it essentially since week 2. Seems like play calls are there. Seems like scheme is correct. Demeco Ryans, we thought, put together a pretty gosh darn good game plan against Green Bay, other than the last drive and a couple of plays where he had both Diamado Lenore and Talanoa Hufanga same side against Devontae Adams, and Devontae Adams takes advantage of that, and Aaron Rodgers takes advantage of that. There were some scheme things and execution early on, but it felt like guys were in a spot to make the right play. They just weren't doing it. Well, since week 8, that has not been the case. The Niners have been in the right spot. They've done the things they've needed to do. They've walked away from those games more often than not with wins. And yes, it wasn't always the resounding win that everyone wants. It wasn't the blowout that you're all hoping it's going to be. But there are some years where teams find it right away, right? And they're just that team from start to finish, or until, the playoff run ends, where they dominate, they take care of business, and very rarely do they get tested and challenged. And there are other years where you struggle to find who you're going to be and what you need to do in order to be a team that consistently wins football games. The Niners were that very early on, trying to find out how can we win football games consistently? How can we be the team that consistently comes out on top? They've not only found the formula, Ant, there's no questions. There's no, can we do this? Can we be this team week in and week out? Can we really run the ball effectively every possession like we need to? Can we literally just run the ball 30, 40 times and win football games? They've done that the second half of the season. Everyone is bought into the mentality. The bully ball mentality is really real. We called for it very early in the season. We thought it was going to be a shift because of the drafting of Aaron Banks. It actually ends up being not that at all. It just ends up being that you already had the dogs in the house to be that team. You just had to find that switch, and they've definitely flipped it.
A lot of it's about personnel. It's about getting personnel in the right positions. If they're not in the right positions, they can't execute the way that you want them to execute. So along the way, they've had trial and error. Also against Green Bay, you've seen Juwan Jennings a couple of snaps. I know I heard on another show that he didn't play any snaps. That's not entirely accurate. We've seen him go in motion and run across. Did he do anything? No. But Juwan Jennings did play in the game, so I want to make that accurate. But I think that you're seeing a shift because they went to 3 wide receivers now. Juwan Jennings is so dynamic in the blocking, and actually Brandon Ayuk as well, that you took some tight ends off the field. You don't do that as often. That's a big change from when the time you played Green Bay. That's what helped the 49ers run the ball better because you were still more dynamic in the pass game. You had better chances to get your ball into like Juwan Jennings' hands. You've seen him become Mr. Third down, as it would be. So I think that a lot of it goes with personnel. Same with on defense. You got Eric Armstead that moved inside. Until he moved inside, this defensive line was unstable. Javon Kinlaw wasn't able to consistently beat defensive double teams. Whether that was because of his knee or if that's because he's just not good enough yet, I don't know. But you saw it from Kentavious Street and Kevin Givens too. They used to lose. Now they win. And these are big changes in the game. But you got a different rotation. You got Charles Omenihu. You got Jordan Willis back. Those things happen during the season. So you're just seeing a different team. Also, Dre Greenlaw comes back. So you got people adding different spots all along the field.
Aziz elevating.
Yeah, Aziz definitely got better. And early in the season, you saw the 49ers put Aziz in situations that they used to put Greenlaw in. He would cover a receiver in the slot or something like that, or a running back out, and he was getting smoked. He was getting burned. He's not good at that. Dre Greenlaw's back, though. He's good at those things. Those are all areas where they had to learn through trial and error. They trusted their players. They put them in positions to be successful. When they figured out they couldn't, they found a different way to do it. They put them in another position. They found another way to get it done.
They don't just blow it up?
No. Now what they did was find ways, not only schematically, but with their personnel, to be the best team that they can be. That's when the blueprint really came in. It wasn't about finding an identity as far as they knew what they always wanted to get to.
How to do it.
They just had to get the formula to get to that blueprint. And now they've got the right pieces in the right places. Now they got it figured out. Now they can go execute. And that's why it's a completely different game. You might as well throw week 3 out. If you think that the Green Bay Packers is going to stop this run game because of what they did in week 3, no way. If you think that they're going to do something different and be able to stop, then we can have a conversation. But 100%. Week 3, you might as well throw out whatever they did in that game. It's worthless.
Is week 3 now for you the same as the 2020 game?
No. Not in that regard.
Okay,
I'm going more on the run game because I think the pass game you can take some things away from it. The reason I say that with the run game is it was Trey Sermon. It was Trey Sermon in a role where he had to feel comfortable in the shotgun continuously. That's not how Kyle Shanahan rolls now. He went Trey Sermon and multiple tight ends in that game.
True.
We barely see multiple tight ends.
Other than goal line,
goal line and short yardage, you'll see Charlie Warner come running on the field and maybe Ross Dwelly. They've been rolling with the 2 tight end style look is George Kittle and Kyle Juszczyk.
Yep.
This is just a different offense, and it's entirely different. Green Bay's defense is decent. It's decent.
It's not bad.
It's better against the pass. That's why I don't throw out the week 3 game.
Well, here's the thing, right? And this is what I've been kind of alluding to, but I don't think directly. A lot of teams are built based on how your offense is. Offense is built around Aaron Rodgers being able to sling it. And yeah, you run the football, but the running of the football for the Green Bay Packers is almost at times a compliment to what Aaron Rodgers does. It's not, something that you rely on because Aaron Rodgers has limitations. It's the inverse, right? It's effective because Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. Therefore, your defense built in a very similar way. You got a lot of you had some talented quarters, speedy cornerbacks to take away the deep ball, putting a lot of guys at the line of scrimmage though because you're giving up a lot in the run game in that aspect. The Niners are, in theory, built to get after the pass rusher, right? We've seen them struggle typically in the past at being able to stop the run, even though they've been a run-heavy team. Mm-hmm. This is one of the first years where we've seen this front become the front we kind of hoped it would be. A front that if you can play with 7 in the box and your front, you don't have to commit an extra guy to the line of scrimmage, and you don't need to bring a safety down in space, that, you can stop a run team, keep 2 safeties back, and now essentially coverage-wise, as a coordinator, ocean. Field and your players you can do whatever you want. There's so many possibilities. As I said in Step Brothers, there's so much room for activities. Mm-hmm. There's so many different activities you can do with that defense when your front's playing this way. I think this is the biggest thing. The biggest difference going into this game is just how different the Niners are in terms of basically executing the plan, right? Getting to the end result that you want, being the team that you want, being a team that can defensively stop the run without overcommitting in the box and then take away the big play. And that allows you to get after the quarterback because you have the safeties deep. If teams try to take the deep shot, you got to hold on to the football a little bit more. And then, you have Arden Key, who's playing at an absolutely incredible pace on the interior. Eric Armstead, who's eating on the inside. Nick Bosa, who is just a problem in every way, shape, and form. And if you don't commit 2, sometimes 3 guys to him, you're going to get beat. And even then, what have we seen? Demeco Ryans do a really great job of calling the TE stunts at the right time, getting Bosa on the inside where he's not getting touched, coming free, right at a quarterback. We saw that last week against the Cowboys. He's done that a handful of times this year. It is all right now just about being dialed in, knowing what your opponent wants to do, how they want to try and attack you. Demeco Ryans said it earlier this week, right? Green Bay is an efficient, well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
They're efficient.
They're efficient. I mean, sure. I think efficiency is great until it's not. That's the thing. It's like you're either explosive or you're efficient, right? The LA Rams are one of those teams that's explosive.
Right.
Not always efficient, but that's why they have the dynamic ability to beat you at any moment. The one thing I'll say about what you were talking about is teams are often built to beat the teams in their division.
That's true also.
Yeah, the Rams, if you notice, they've loaded up on front 7. Arizona Cardinals loaded up on front 7. Seattle Seahawks traded for a defensive end from the New York Jets for their front 7. This is kind of how teams build. 49ers didn't do that. When the 49ers built, they didn't build to win the division. They built to win the whole thing. They went in there and they decided, you know what, we're going to build through the defensive line. This is the way we're going to get after it because we know that in the NFL, we are going to have to beat a great quarterback along the way. And, in the 2019 playoffs, I mean, that was evident, right? They were able to beat Aaron Rodgers. And one of the reasons you're able to beat Aaron Rodgers is because you don't just couple the defensive line with everything else. Everyone's always worried about the secondary. But the counteract to that is the great run game. Because if that great quarterback is not on the field for that many possessions, he doesn't have as many opportunities to be successful. And then also you limit that with the amount of time you get after him. So The 49ers emergence in the run game department is stopping, these run games is actually what's going to make this defense elite. It is a better thing than 2019 where they struggled to stop the interior run game. With the Super Bowl, Kansas City got a run game going against the 49ers.
Yep.
If the 49ers are able to stop the run game consistently throughout the playoffs, they're going to be hard to beat. So it's going to be one of those things where that is how things are normally done. The 49ers are just doing it at another level. And I think this coming together, this Eric Armstead going on the inside with DJ Jones has been an absolute godsend. If they can still rush the passer at the level they did in the 2019 playoffs, the 49ers defense is going to be very hard to beat because Richard Sherman was playing corner, but it was a different kind of Richard Sherman. He was a liability deep. Ambry Thomas isn't a liability deep. You have Emmanuel Mosley. Mosley is definitely a better player than Emmanuel Mosley was in 2019. And guess what? Your safeties are still the same. So you've improved at the linebacker position. You've improved at the cornerback position. I'm going to say Richard Sherman was still smarter and all that than Ambry Thomas. But Ambry is learning, and I don't think he's a threat to get beat deep, which was a weakness of those 2019 football teams. So I think the 49ers are built for this run. Is it going to be tough to beat Aaron Rodgers? Yes. Can they do it? Absolutely.
100%, Ant. The one thing about a well-oiled machine is all the parts have to be working in unison at the same time, doing exactly what they need to be doing in order for the machine to function the way you want it to. 11 things that you need to go right in order for the well-oiled machine to function the way you need it to. It just takes one guy to potentially blow it all up on any given play. Very well could be the case because it's definitely looking like Nick Bosa is going to be able to go. And if Nick Bosa can go, that's going to change a whole heck of a lot of things for the Green Bay Packers in that front. Yeah, you got your O-line back and healthy. Yeah. You got all that great stuff there. You haven't played this front the way they've been playing recently. The way Nick Bosa has been playing recently.
Who are you going to single up?
Nobody. They can't afford to. They literally can't, but they're going to have to single somebody up because you can't double across the board.
Arden Key and Samson Ebukam are going to be one-on-one. They're going to double Armstead. They're going to double Nick Bosa. And those other two are going to be one-on-one, and they have to win.
I don't think either one of us thinks they're not going to.
No, and they don't have to win every time.
Just
all
big downs.
Win sometimes. If you win sometimes, you're gonna stop that offense.
100%.
And that's the key, and that's what we've seen. That's the thing. Everything is so defined and it's so easy to read because the 49ers dictate that with personnel.
Yep.
Nick Bosa and Eric Armstead are problems. If you want to put Eric Armstead one-on-one with the offensive guard, good luck. Please do.
Have fun with it.
I'll enjoy that very much because Armstead's going to win more than he's going to lose. And these arm over moves that he does, DJ Jones does, and now you got other players doing them as well. Arden Key, they're nasty. Chris Kasarik and these guys are really coaching it up. They're coaching up these defensive line moves. They're fantastic. We even seen Arden Key try to bust a spin on Dallas.
We did.
And he got thrown to the ground for what was a huge holding call, which I don't know if you saw him in the background. He was doing the holding call with the referee at the same time. There's nice video from the crowd.
I didn't see that. I watched that.
It's wonderful. Yeah,
it's glorious.
But yeah, these guys are going to get after it, and that's the thing. It's that simple. It's who are you going to double? Because if you're going to leave Nick Bosa one-on-one, he's going to win. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is already thinking about that right now. He's already thinking about Nick Bosa getting after.
Listen, he should be it. It's going to be a problem. But look, that doesn't mean by any means that we think the Niners are just going to blow this thing out of the water.
Maybe.
We just think that Green Bay fans need to give this team a little bit more credit. A little bit.
I don't care what Green Bay fans think about credit. I think Green Bay knows the matchup issues. I think they see it the same way. I think nothing would shock me in this game. If this game comes down to the last second, it wouldn't shock me. If one of these teams took off and ran off from the other one, it wouldn't shock me.
Wouldn't shock me either. I don't want to see that going obviously a certain direction.
Yeah, no, I don't want it either. And I'm telling you right now, the way the 49ers run the football, minus Jimmy Garoppolo just having one of the worst turnover games in the history of his career. They're going to be in it, and they're going to have an opportunity at the end.
I agree with you, Ant. And speaking of last second and the end, if you didn't check out the Madden Sim this morning, you probably should.
Yeah.
Or if you left early, you might want to go back and finish it all the way to the end. Stay to the very last second because that game was full of twists and turns this morning. The Madden simulation was absolutely phenomenal. It was glorious. A lot of crazy things happening. Lots of twists in that game, as Jay Ellie was pointing out, the M. Night Shyamalan twist. So look, go back over, head and watch that, and then stick around because at 2 p.m. you have What's Good with Jay in the Bay, and then not too long after that, a wonderful Know Your Opponent All-22 sneak peek of this Green Bay Packers team and looking back at the Week 3 game and trying to glean at some of the things the 49ers were doing at the time, areas where Green Bay had success, and where things have changed for the 49ers and why 49ers fans should maybe feel fairly confident and comfortable going into this football game.
I think you can feel confident that it's going to be a different style of game.
Agreed.
Early in that game, definitely Green Bay imposed their will. They shut down the 49ers run game, and they made it a little bit more difficult. And then when they got onto offense, they executed when they needed to execute, and they got up 17-0. The one problem is Green Bay and the LA Rams know the same thing. 17 points is not enough against the 49ers. They can come back and they can flip the script on you. So that's the thing. If Green Bay gets up, I'm not going to worry. If the 49ers get up, I'm going to be worried because Aaron Rodgers is on the other side and he can make it happen. However, I think the 49ers can get it done in this game. I think they will get after him. But yeah, hop over to the know your opponent too. Watch a little bit of film. We get into the things that are going to work and the reasons why. Some of the plays didn't work against the Green Bay defense. And was it personnel or was it just scheme and play calls, or was it just Green Bay making great plays?
It was a little bit of all of that, I think, but you'll get a better idea once you see the film yourself. So we'll see you over for What's Good with Jay and the Bay at 2. We'll see you for Know Your Opponent tonight at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time and Cutback Crew. Don't forget to also comment down below. What do you think the game plan should be? Did we get it dead wrong? We're just inaccurate completely. Jimmy G's going to have to sling it 50 times. The Niners are going to have to sack Aaron Rodgers 12 times.
I'm going to tell you right now. People might believe about sacking Aaron Rodgers 12 times. There is absolutely no one, and I mean no one, not even Jimmy Garoppolo's parents, think he needs to sling it 50 times.
I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo thinks he should sling it 50 times.
No, he doesn't. There's absolutely no one.
So maybe I was being a bit dramatic, but
I might as well go. With no one. Yeah.
No more of that because we don't want to get demonetized YouTube. It was less than 15 seconds, I swear. I swear it was.
We didn't even play it. We just sang it. Come on.
Hey, they will come after it. They will come. I have seen it happen.
Then bring it.
Time and time again. You heard it from Ant.
I might as well be the Niners. I'm ready. Their YouTube is Green Bay. I'm the Niners.
In fairness, it wouldn't be YouTube so much as someone abusing the manual report system at YouTube. Not at YouTube, but for the company of who owns the rights of said song manually reporting the video. Does that make sense?
No, I hear what you're saying. It's still
just going in one ear and out the other.
I just don't care.
Oh, okay. So Ant just says,
if they honestly believe that sounded like the original, they got problems.
Well, then they should pick up the phone and call us, and we can sign a record label tomorrow.
No, William Hung can carry a better tune than me. She bang.
Oh, baby, when she moved, she moved. We go crazy, and hopefully the Niners are moving all up and down the field on Saturday. We would love to see it in Cutback Crew. Let us know about all of this game plan. Let us know what you think the game plan should be. Make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already. Be like Aztec Pride down there.
Yeah.
The newest member of the Cutback Crew. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. That way you don't miss any content coming out on the channel the rest of the day. Friday Frenzy in full force. Ant, I'm excited about that. I'm excited. Even more excited about Saturday and this divisional round matchup with the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau. This is great times. This is great times to be a 49ers fan. Playoff football and January football. And the closer we get to the Super Bowl, the closer you get to February football. The only thing that's better than January football.
That's right, February football. If you're playing in February, it either means you made it to the Pro Bowl or you're in the Super Bowl. So no February 6th football for the 49ers. February 13th. Talk about kicking off Valentine's Day in a big way. Hello, Scorpios.
Hello, Scorpios. Indeed, Ant. Cutback Crew. We'll catch you on the next one. And until then, stay safe.
Remember, the right way
is always the 49ers way.